All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to a webinar here on transforming your finance function with practical AI strategies. It's been duly hosted here by myself, Vincent Valentine, a managing director at Black Diamond Advisory, and Steve. You can introduce yourself as well just after I've done here, but Steve Cromwell from OneStream as well. We're going to give you today not just another AI demo, not just a technical presentation, but also a functional view of the world of finance and why AI is such an important strategy for your business. And if you haven't already done so, you'll be asked the question at the end, and you'll hopefully be asking yourself the question at the end, why have you not yet done AI at your business in finance specifically? And more specifically, why have you not done OneStream AI in OneStream for yourself? So that's what we're hoping to achieve here today. Again, my name is Vincent Valentine. I've worked in finance for over 20 years now, through audit, through budget and forecasting, through consulting. Various facets of my career have been in the office of the CFO. Challenges that come with financial planning, specifically as well, when it gets to the operational level of financial planning. And we'll be going through all of those things, and I hope to bring to bear to you the importance of using AI in your business to help you craft through all the noise. Go ahead to you, Steve, for your intro.
Yeah, hey everybody. My name is Steve Cromwell. I am in the go-to-market enablement team at OneStream. We support our partners like Black Diamond in anything they need from a technical standpoint. Think of us almost like pre-sales or solutions consulting for our partners. And we're happy to be here to support Vincent and the team on this webinar, talking about OneStream and AI specifically.
Perfect. So a little bit about Black Diamond just before we get going. So we are the largest global partner of OneStream. We are exclusively focused on OneStream. We have a physical presence in all the countries at the top there on the right with all the flags. So that's full-based employee services throughout the globe. Essentially, the sun never sets on BDA as far as OneStream is concerned. Somebody's always working in OneStream at BDA. We have several key differentiators that we believe make us distinct and different from our competitors. And today we're going to highlight just one of those, and that is the Center of Excellence. And essentially, I sit on the Center of Excellence as well. And what we do here in the Center of Excellence is the way we review all our projects and programs that we work on at Black Diamond. We're doing that for every single project. So we have all the key architects that have years and years of experience actually exposed to all the projects, and we're able to ensure the quality of our engagements by making sure that we're doing things the right way and the best practical way that makes the most sense for all our customers. And that's our Center of Excellence. But beyond that, our Center of Excellence is also like our think tank. It's essentially where we come up with our thought leadership, or curate rather our thought leadership, and we work through things like the topics that we're going to talk about today, which is AI in the finance space specifically, and how we can bring those two facets together, that being the finance space and the rest of the business as well. So that's just a little bit about Black Diamond. We're not going to spend too much time on us. We're going to talk more about the following items on our agenda today are the following topics. So it's going to be cutting through the AI noise first. There's a lot of activity in the market about AI. There's a lot of people have heard a lot of things about AI. We want to get through the brass tacks, so to speak, on AI. I'll be reviewing a recent AI workshop that I actually did as recent as just August 2025, where we sat in a room with clients. And the topics we discussed, we'll be actually reviewing today on this presentation, and the kinds of questions that were raised and the kinds of things we thought about and challenged and prodded and poked at to arrive at we need AI as a solution to help us. And then Steve will take over and he'll give you some of the OneStream platform advantage information, specifically to why is this so important in OneStream as a solution versus AI that you can just generally get everywhere else. I'd like to say a lot that From my perspective, it's not like OneStream just downloaded ChatGPT and installed it onto OneStream, the platform. They actually have a platform-based AI solution that's curated and tailored specifically for finance. So very, very important that you see that. Steve's also going to do a live demo, so you'll physically be able to see the tool in OneStream. And then finally, we'll have a call to action. Like I said earlier, the question we want you to ask yourself at the end of this presentation is, why do I not use AI yet? We want that to be as simple as that. That should be the question you should be taking away from this presentation. Moving on to cutting through the AI noise. So I want to just cover off the basics here, just so everybody understands. The turbulence is real. This is not something that you're just imagining. 90% of the companies have digital initiatives of some sort, so finance transformation, digital offices, finance offices that deal specifically with regards to bringing companies into the 21st century and beyond. But with all the money that goes through those pipes, unfortunately, only 33% of the projects see any expected ROIs after all the investment. There's just a lot of turbulence with regards to spending money. And when you go to the AI specific work stream, only 8% there. So these are the real statistics that are out of the market. We want to speak to the fact that these are real challenges. When we talk about what is the gaps, where the gaps exist, there's always these technical AI concepts, and they come out, it seems almost weekly, that there's a new concept that you now have to learn about AI, but there's never really a practical finance application of that technical concept. So that's a big gap that people can't really close nicely. There's vendor promises that don't equal real world outcomes. Today you will see OneStream show you their solution, their platform, and it's different. And I would say it closes this gap quite significantly. And out there in the world, you don't see this very often. So that's very important as well to understand. And then the other aspect of this and the gap is the point solutions. A lot of AI solutions are solving one particular issue in one particular facet, whereas because of OneStream's platform mentality, we have connected insights. We have the ability to have a connected plan, and we can actually bring things together in one platform. So that's a major, major win on regards to closing these gaps that exist. So we want to basically leave you with this mantra, which is we don't want you to ask what is AI. I think that question is starting to get a little stale, but we want you to start asking, what can AI do for finance? So moving on to what can AI do for finance? There is several facets that we believe, and as thought leaders in the space have again created these ideas on, and that includes connecting various data flows together. So you have different areas of your business that operate in silos today, and we want to be able to make sure that we can connect those silos together and that we can actually establish a full set of information that is meaningful for decision making. There's also going to be, or there also is, automated insight generation. What that speaks to essentially is being able to not just use AI to create a plan, but also to help with, as you see as later in the slide there, predictive scenario modeling. So where are the insights? Where is the questions you're not asking? AI will help ask those questions as well. The decision cycles themselves, too often the FP&A process has been quarterly, if monthly. With AI at the helm, the goal here is to actually have a relevant forecast when you need it. Activities in the marketplace don't always happen on month end. And so you need to be able to update your forecast on week 2 or week 3. If something significant happens, new tariffs, whatever the case may be, you need to be able to do that fairly quickly. So AI brings all of these things to you, specifically in OneStream as a platform. It closes those conversion gaps we spoke about. So that's just the warm up. Now let's get into the real meat and potatoes, because anybody could have said those things, and that doesn't mean anything unless you can actually practically apply it. So I'm going to walk you through the recent workshop we just did. Like I said, we just held this in August. It was with a multi-billion-dollar company across the globe, and we spoke about AI and how we're going to use AI in their new planning process. So we're physically going through that process with them today. And I want to share that discussion with you guys all here today so that you can see the kinds of things we spoke about and the kind of decisions we reached, the conclusions we reached. So the first question I'm going to ask you is, what does your team alignment look like today? And really, this comes down to if you look at your organization overall, you've got a go-to-market aspect to it, demand management, you've got marketing, how do I look after my customers specifically? You've got your supply chain, that's, manufacturing all my products and services, whatever I need to do to be able to satisfy the demand on my market side. And then you got finance off on the right there, and finance is responsible for essentially bringing these two facets together and measuring the performance of these facets as well, so we can understand, are we a profitable company? Are we growing? Are we shrinking? Where are we expanding to? What does that all look like? And so the real question that has to be asked is how well aligned are these different teams? And we'll start with the first option A, which is the option that I think is the most important, and that's to say that you're always working on the same timelines and the same assumptions. Everybody is in sync, it's full synchronization, and we're working together with option A, and that's pretty straightforward. Option B is regular alignment. So yeah, we have monthly checkpoints, but we're not really aligned per se. It's not continuous. We're working on different assumptions. We have different bosses, so to speak, from that perspective. There's different things that have different influences on when we work together and how we work together. But for the most part, we're regularly aligned. Option C will be partial alignment. So here we're saying, well, certain processes are connected, but there's a lot more divergence across our organization, and we're working on it, I guess, would be the goal. We're working to try and get to B. And then the final option is, well, we're completely independent, siloed. There's minimal coordination. The demand team just does what the demand and commercial teams need to do. Finance is just trying to report based on whatever reports they can get their hands on and whatever system they can get those reports from. And manufacturing is just going ahead and manufacturing. It's not a concern. They have their own targets, and we work kind of in these silos. I'm sure you can see that obviously, C and D are very less desirable options, and A and B obviously are the better ones. But the real question is, are you fully synchronized today? That's the question I want to ask. And the next slide here asks that exact question. So if it is A, if it is true that you are in fact fully synchronized, well, then the question must be, the follow-on question to that is essentially, if that is true, does that make finance just a passive function? In other words, finance is just a consumer of data, and they don't have to do anything. They don't have to say anything. And you can bring up that option yes there for me, please. They're just reliant on the information that's provided by the go-to-market teams and the supply chain teams. They don't have to do any particular work. We're just fully aligned. And that's essentially the outcome. That would be the outcome if A was ever true. And so for anybody who has picked A from the previous question, I'm hoping you realize now that was in error, and that doesn't make any sense, because that would mean that finance is a completely passive function and doesn't need to actually enrich the data, doesn't need to interrogate the data, and all sorts of things on those lines. If you didn't pick A and you were more on the other side, then you probably are more in the active finance function bucket, which makes more sense. And really, the question then becomes or is the maturity of where you are. If you're B, C, and D, those are different levels of maturity. Obviously, D being the most or least preferred, rather. But really, the question then becomes, okay, well, where am I? Am I in B or am I in C? Or am I really in D and I need to make some active changes, right? This is the finance transformation question that we're asking. And if you remember my stat from earlier, the 33%, the reason that is so low is because people aren't asking these questions in exactly this way and thinking about it from this perspective, and where the maturity is. And where's it trending towards? Because sometimes it might actually be trending down. Even if you might be at B, you might be trending down to C or D. And so The reality is here, and again, this is the conversation we had, is that in practice, there is no real true synchronization. A really just doesn't exist. It is rare and fragile if it does exist. The incentives don't make sense for it to exist. The processes are always different. The timelines are different. They don't naturally align without constant intervention. So A is not an option. Even if you chose it, I'm sorry. It was a bit of a trick. But A is not an option, and A, even if it does exist, is very rare and fragile. It won't last, is my point, right? And so we really are in the second bucket, and now we're really thinking about our maturity, and we can't just consume the consumer-based information. In fact, as we were working, sorry, I just want to go back one more point, just make that last point. Um, as we were working through this workshop, one of the GSIs that we're working with closely on this engagement specifically who's worked in the space for his whole career, basically said in the conversation he's never seen full synchronization. So this is not something that we're just making up on the spot. This is the reality. If it just doesn't exist as nicely as people want it to exist, but at the same time finance still has a job to do. So here's where we get to the next slide and the challenges that finance has, being not just a consumer. So we'll start with the first item here, and that's the current state of alignment. That's where I've been spending the last couple of minutes on is where do we sit from a current state? And as I said, you might be in B, you might be in C, you might be in D, you might be trending to C or D. But that current state of alignment is always a challenge and it always can be improved. I can't tell you how many times people have told me, well, they can't do AI now because we're working on our current state. Our current state isn't conducive to making a change right now. And the reality is that you will never uh, you will never get to a point where your current state is perfect and doesn't need AI. And so using that as kind of the reason why you can't do it yet, I would just bust right now and say you're never going to get there if that's the case. You're never going to implement AI if you're always concerned about your current state alignment because it isn't going to be aligned. And that's the whole reason we want to do something here specifically. The other challenge is going to be the fact that there's business dynamics, right? So there's always business dynamics that are at play here. There's always a change in circumstances. So even if you had perfect alignment, so even if you somehow got to A and you are perfectly aligned, or even B for that matter, the reality is tomorrow there may be an M&A, there may be evolving technologies, your talent might quit, the people might just leave your organization as a whole, just people trends. A swath of people might be retiring, and that might be creating additional challenges for you. So not only do the business dynamics themselves stand alone and challenge your business, they also influence your current state alignment. So in all cases, these two foundational items, be it shaky foundational items, are always going to be the challenge behind not doing AI. So I don't want anybody to think about these two things as a reason as to not do AI because you're just not going to do anything then. You're just always going to sit down and stop. So what else is it that finance contributes that makes it so relevant? And why is it so important? Well, a couple of things. First and foremost, finance is a validator of the operational commercial assumptions. They're not there to necessarily dictate or direct from that perspective, but they're there as to ensure that the objectives are corporate are they're aligned with the corporate objectives of the organization. You know, um, if I just left this down to supply chain, well, then that might be a case of, well, building more factories and go ahead and expanding our footprint and more capital intense investments, etc. But if I can't afford that from a treasury perspective, or if I don't understand what that looks like in the market, I can't raise the capital, then it's kind of a pointless exercise. It's an exercise in futility. And so finance is there to ensure that the assumptions are in fact financially sound and that they're in line with corporate objectives. The other aspect to this is that finance integrates everything. So finance brings all the different areas of the business together. It's the only place where you can say that we can actually understand the impact across the business. And it's part of connected planning as well. Another thing that we offer within the OneStream platform. But it's really important to understand this, right? if I have a marketing department that goes off on one trend and just spends a bunch of money, but that's not actually translating into new sales, well, I can only know that if I actually bring those two groups together and actually those costs together and understand that. So that's also important. Stress testing and being a challenger and an advisor as well. Looking at biases that might be built into the plan, etc. All those good things are important aspects of the finance function. Finally, value creation. It's important that people understand that finance also sits in the role of looking for value creation. Steve, that's just one last item there for me, please. And that's to bring together the strategic objectives of the company as a whole, right? We're looking for future M&A targets, go to market strategies, whatever it is that we should be doing as an organization, and finance is looking for those items where maybe there's an upstream or downstream play with regards to that. So, I think by now you should understand my point of view here with regards to that finance is not just a consumer. Even if you have perfect processes, you can't align them all. And so now you should really be asking and saying the next piece, which is, well, okay, now what? Where do we go from here? Thanks for that wonderful information. I know I have a problem. Now, what do I have to do about it? And there really are only three options. I'm going to just quickly go through all three of them. We'll do them one at a time here. So the first option is more Excel. It looks like more sheets, more formulas, more workbooks. It's very manual and error prone. There's my version, your version, and the truth, and none of those things line up. And the value outcome of more Excel is just low. And I think most people have started going away from more Excel, but the reality is they're still stuck with it. They have all this legacy Excel that they have to deal with. So whether you read that as more Excel or keep my Excel, it's still the same option. It doesn't add any new value. The next option is, well, we could do adjustments. We could do everything at a much higher level. We could just do a lot of topside planning. I had a question yesterday actually from a client who said, well, why don't we just do this at the very high level and just kind of move on? We don't have to really deal with it. We just say 10% growth and we're good to go. Well, the reality is that's superficial and it's also unsustainable because you can't actually run a business on that basis alone. You need to actually know some of the facts and details at the bottom level. You need to know which customers are have more revenue, etc., and all those good things. So it doesn't work to just do high level adjustments and fixes all the way through. And so that only leaves you with one option, which is how do you bring everything together? And that's honestly, it's sensible AI in the OneStream world. What you're about to see from Steve here next, that is the next option, and you can hit the next one. There's a nice little red bar that shows up there. That's where you want to go. Now there are limitations, there are risks. There's the change management aspect, which I hope in the previous slides, I've been able to highlight to you why that's important to do. But the value outcome is immense. And Steve will definitely comment on some of those value items here next. But yeah, I want to leave you guys with this final item is the same question I asked you at the beginning. Why are you not doing OneStream Sensible AI yet? Why have you not got into the AI space yet? Given the thesis that I put in front of you today and this exact workshop that we went through, that was the conclusion reached that we should be doing AI. And everybody was comfortable with it. And we had people in the room from finance, from commercial, from supply chain. We had everybody in the room around the table, and everybody got to the same conclusion. And it took us just 2 hours to do. So that's the question I wanted to leave with today is why are you not doing this yet? You should really, really be looking at this. So that's the why and the how. And Steve's going to now show you the actual solution itself. So over to you, Steve.
Thanks, Vincent. So yeah, what I want to do is spend a few minutes talking about the OneStream platform as a whole and some of the unique advantages it brings. And then I'm going to talk about one of the key pillars of our platform, and that's what we're calling sensible AI. So what we're seeing really lines up with what Vincent was presenting before. We're seeing 76% of CFOs and CEOs are really valuing data and database decision making above all things. 74% of CFOs expect this growth of AI and automation to really change how the Office of Finance is doing their business. Now, the Office of Finance is evolving. They're going from the traditional roles of doing their monthly statements and their annual budgeting and being asked to leverage this ocean of data that lives in every organization. So they are expecting AI to really help with that. And then 70% of the CFOs uh, believe now is the time for AI, and it's going to be too late if they don't act now. So OneStream as a whole, let me talk a little bit about our platform and our thoughts as we set out to build our platform about 15 years ago. To be able to harness that truth, to be able to get that single truth in an organization, companies have leaned on performance management solutions. And performance management has often been modularized across multiple technologies. You could have multiple solutions related to close and consolidation. You could have multiple tools related to planning, budgeting, and forecasting. These need to be tied into one or more reporting applications. And now we have a whole suite of AI tools as well that you would need to add into this mix if you were going to leverage AI. And so what we found is that 80% of the time, effort, and money has been spent in the management of these complex webs of all of these different technologies. And it creates just a tremendous amount of technical debt. So what that amounts to is as you're going into all of these different solutions, these technologies, you're getting different answers to the same question. So this was the problem that OneStream 15 years ago was built to solve. We're not multiple technologies, we're not multiple modules. We are a single platform that allow our customers to house all of their performance management in one single application, regardless of how complex they may be. We take data from any source system in the organization, and that goes beyond just the traditional finance systems and ERPs. That gets into the operational systems as well. Whatever the customer wants as part of their model, we can bring it in, and we can uniquely structure that data for optimum performance, as well as the ability to present that operational side by side with the financial. So to that end, we have most over 70% of our customers have used OneStream to replace multiple solutions. And these multiple solutions are going to be things like point solutions like Anaplan, Blackline, Workday Adaptive, or the legacy suites that we see like Oracle, SAP, and IBM. And in nearly every single case, we are always replacing the manual workflows that we see being done in the network of Excel spreadsheets within the organization. So I've mentioned the word platform a number of times. Just like Apple or iOS more specifically, it's a platform for personal telecommunication. Salesforce is the predominant platform for sales, ServiceNow for IT. OneStream truly is the platform for modern finance. And so here's where we really talk about our vision, what makes us different. And what you can see here is that in this triangle in the center, we really kind of rely on three pillars. We are at its core finance, which is that, close a consolidation, FP&A, reporting, all of the things that you would traditionally think of when you think of performance management. But the second pillar is going to be around the operational analytics, and that's going to be that ability to bring in all of the data, not just the financial, because we want to be able to leverage all of that data so that we can provide finance the ability to make better decisions. And that data then can be utilized with finance built AI. So now you can get things like more accurate forecasts, more efficient workflows using the data that we bring, and then the results from those finance AI functions then feed back into core finance. So now you do have more accurate forecasts. You have more efficient processes. And so when we talk about our differentiators, we really talk about three things. One, we're uniquely unified, meaning that um, not only can we bring in data from any system in the organization, we unify function. So you can do your close and consolidation, your FP&A, have your budget and your actuals in one single platform. Two, we're infinitely extensible, which means with OneStream, the more you do, the more you can do. So, if you implement some processes up front, maybe a close process or a count recs process, and you want to do more, you don't have to go out and buy new technology to do that. You can build those processes directly into the platform, and those processes can talk with one another. So, for example, if a trial balance changes as part of a close process, the account reconciliations within that close process will update. And then lastly, we are AI powered, meaning we have made a huge investment in AI, and that's what we're going to talk about for the rest of my portion of this presentation, so that we can do a number of things. Now, what we call our AIs, the Sensible AI portfolio. And right now there's three solutions that make up that portfolio. Firstly, there's going to be Sensible AI Forecast. Now, Forecast is a time series forecasting solution that allows our customers to set individual targets, leverage features and events, and ultimately generate the most if accurate forecasts in an efficient forecast process. The second thing we're going to talk about is AI, Sensible AI Studio. Now, we recognize that the world of AI is changing every day. New and exciting functions are popping up everywhere. And so what we've done is we've embedded this concept called Sensible AI Studio within the entire platform. So now you can leverage some of these AI functions within your current existing workflows. So for example, you can put something like anomaly detection into an account recs process, or do something like clustering if you're looking at the performance, of your regions or with your customers. And then lastly, we are in the process of putting out agents, and agents are going to be similar to something like Sensible or Chat GPT, except as Vincent said before, we didn't just throw Chat GPT into the platform. We're building agents specifically for finance. So not only are you going to be able to ask questions about your business, about like the marketing events that we have done over the past year, or the contracts that we have with our customers, we'll be able to ask financial questions as well. So I could say something like, what was my DPO in October of 2022? And rather than having to go query a report or change parameters, I can actually have those agents who understand my financial model give me that information quickly and also tie it with some of the business related material as well. So when we think about those three things, this is kind of where they exist in this landscape of AI as it stands today. That Sensible AI Forecast really is in that time series functionality where we can do things like demand planning, sales forecasting. Sensible AI agents are really going to capture the new like generative and agentic AI capabilities that we're seeing kind of pop up everywhere. And then, of course, that Sensible AI Studio is really going to capture everything else. So as new AI functions start emerging, we can bring them into the platform through these studio functions. So I really want to hone in on the Sensible AI Forecast and what it does. So, as I mentioned, it's a time series forecasting solution where our customers can determine targets, and targets can be pretty granular. So, in this case, we're looking at 10 products, across 100 customers from two different plants. We would consider that 2,000 individual targets. We also enable the use of features. Features are really anything that can affect the forecast either way. These can be like macroeconomic features like gas prices, consumer price index. They can be external features like some things like the weather or like a certain company's stock performance. Um, and then events. Events are going to be kind of time-based features. So it can be as simple as just applying the calendar, to your forecasting. But it's also incorporating things like holidays, sporting events, promotions, and internal promotions or local events. So what we do is we train these models. We've put this all into this blender that we call the model arena, where we are going to run all of these things through over 30 different statistical models. We're then going to have those models compete to see which is the most accurate, meaning we're going to do what we call back testing to ensure that the models that we are selecting have been the most accurate along the entire trajectory of the data that we have. From there, now that we've selected a model and chose the most accurate one, we can now start asking questions like scenario modeling. What if, the weather is bad? What if we do this promotion in a different month? And so now you can see the immediate real-time impacts of some of the decision making you're going to do on that accurate forecast. And then, of course, once we've chosen the model, now you're able to use it. Now you can embed it directly into your forecast process without having to, move data from one system to another. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna jump out now. I'm gonna do that demo, and then I'm gonna come back to a couple of slides here. Um, Let me jump into my OneStream instance. And of course, I was signed out. So let me just sign in real quick. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my forecast process. Now, what you're going to see today is really kind of what you can expect from a result standpoint of Sensible AI Forecast. Now, I just came from my homepage. My homepage is simply a dashboard that enables me to get to any corner of the platform, any planning process, any dashboard I need to get to. Um, I'm going to go into the forecast process where we have a series of steps that we go through every quarter as we do our different forecasts. Now, here's where I'm going to go in and start looking at that demand and that revenue forecast. Now, you can see here that I have multiple different lines of revenue here. We're doing our wholesale, we have an e-commerce business, parts, retail. I'm going to really stick with this the wholesale business. And what I'm seeing here is looking at my category of products by specific customer. It's showing me my 2024 actual, and we're actually in the middle of the month or in the middle of the year. So pretend it's June of 2025. We've actually wrapped up our first 6 months worth of sales, and we're looking ahead towards the second part of the year. Now, what you can see here is my traditional forecast. This is the data that we've brought in, whether it's from an existing scenario like our previous forecast or our annual budget as we started the year, or we've gone in and we've made changes to this. This is the forecast that we would go with without the benefit of AI. Now, what I want to do is I actually want to apply that benefit. So I'm going to come in and look at July, and I'm going to navigate to my Sensible AI forecast. So as I mentioned, this is not the solution itself. The solution is within this platform, but going through the model build and everything can get pretty technical. So really, I want to talk about the business benefits. And so as I look at that single cell for the forecasted units and go into my Sensible AI forecast, here I can see for that customer, the category of products, our traditional forecast has us at 145, but we have Sensible AI forecast having us at 148. And because we're using as much granular detail as possible, we're doing it at an individual product level. We've also, brought in our prior year for some comparison points. But the really cool stuff is down below. Here we have the feature importance for each and every one of the products in this category. So this is telling us, hey, which features prove to be the most impactful overall for this particular target. And so here you'll see, calendar days are always really relevant, but you'll see things like the 4th of July sales event. Gas prices is, small, but, somewhat relevant, not a non-zero relevancy. And so here we can actually see, hey, these are the things that affect my forecast the most for this intersection of customer and product. And also over here on the right, not only is it showing us the overall feature relevancy, it's giving us a day by day look at how those features are actually affecting the day's sales. So I can go to each one of these and say, okay, for July 1st, the 4th of July sales event is going to be the most positive like impact on this forecast, whereas we have some other things down below that would reflect the negative. And so what Sensible AI Forecast ultimately does is per customer, per product, and by date or whatever dimensional intersection that you would like to set up, it's going to give you a forecast number. And this forecast for each one of these intersections is all going to be utilized here in our wholesale forecast, giving us this number of 148. So the nice thing about Sensible AI is we're using data that already lives on the platform. Our ability to harness that operational data allows us to do this without having to bring in all of this data from different systems to get this. And now that I have this, I can leverage it directly into my forecast process. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this into my forecast. And then when I refresh, you can see that my previous 145 units has been updated to 148. So going back to my slides quickly, these are really the benefits that you're going to be able to get out of Sensible AI forecasts. As Vincent said in the beginning, only 8% of finance-related AI models are making it into production per Gartner and a study. When we built this, we wanted to ensure that 100% of these Sensible AI forecast projects make it into production. So far, we've had tremendous success. We're seeing an over 25% increase in forecast accuracy. The really eye-opening numbers come in the efficiency standpoint. We're seeing just months shaved off of these forecast processes through how quickly that this tool is able to generate this forecast. There's transparency. So as I just showed, we're not just giving you a number. It's not just a black box and say, hey, just trust us. We can drill into any number and get full explainability for why those predictions are being made. As you saw, it showed me the features that were relevant and how those features affected that day-to-day outlook. It's agile, meaning we can constantly monitor the health of these models. And if things do start to erode over time, you can simply rerun these projects, and perhaps a new statistical model would and a new iteration of that would be selected going forward. Um, and then finally, it's unified. And that's really the key to the OneStream platform. Data never leaves. We're using data in the platform, we're putting it through this process, and then we're leveraging the results directly into the processes in the platform. We've had a tremendous amount of success right now, over 85 successful projects. These include Sensible AI customers as well as POCs that we've done. We're seeing an average accuracy improvement of over 24%. I think that is higher. I think it's actually over 25 or 26% now. And that average efficiency improvement of over 86%. Now, a couple of use cases here. Up at the top left, we have a customer, multi-billion dollar earth moving equipment manufacturer who implemented Sensible AI forecasts and are seeing improved forecast accuracy of over 10%. But as I mentioned, that those efficiency savings are really eye-opening. They're able to reforecast now in a 30-minute time window versus a multiple day process which used over 80 FTEs. And you don't have to be a multi-billion dollar company to get the benefit of Sensible AI forecast. Down the bottom left, this is a company called Stake Center. Stake Center are the ones that come out and mark where your utility lines are if you're getting any like digging or projects done in your in your community or yard. Now, the challenge they were trying to solve for was basically labor scheduling, labor plans. And so they turned to Sensible AI Forecast and increased their accuracy by 23%, which helped them downstream better plan their labor so they had enough workers to meet the needs of the business of the projects that are going on, and then also didn't have too many standing by when there wasn't enough. So with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually turn things back over to Vincent, and
Yeah.
we'll wrap up and then take any questions you might have.
Course, yeah. Yeah, see there let me just see. Yep, there's a question there from an anonymous tell me there. What kind of ROI or efficiency gains have customers seen after implementing the OneStream AI capabilities? And I think you have provided that information there, Steve. So I believe we have answered that question. But yeah, as I said in the beginning, there is a call to action. There is something to do. And the question we're asking you guys here today is, why have you not started using OneStream AI yet? The reality is your finance organization is never going to be in the position that it needs to be in to ultimately make that leap. You're going to use OneStream to help solve that gap. You need to continue doing your work as finance. There's those 4 items I showed earlier where it is really important that finance actually is active in the whole process. Finance is not just a consumer of data. You do need this data to be able to help your organization grow. Those efficiencies that Steve spoke about are really, really important. Um, and the reality is, I've never seen a platform like this that is this good at bringing everything together and giving their finance those capabilities without sacrificing things like transparency and capability, and needing another data scientist somewhere else in another dark room somewhere. So yeah, the question again is, why are you not doing it yet? And here's your call to action. If you are interested in learning more about OneStream AI, or having one of the workshops that we had with the client that I just mentioned here earlier, please scan the QR code. Please register and reach out to us. Our sales team will help you with that. And if you're interested in more information, you can always reach out to Steve or myself directly on LinkedIn and other avenues of contact, and we'll be happy to assist you in talking through some of your challenges. Maybe we didn't exactly nail them today. Maybe there's something else you're thinking of that may be also holding you up in terms of making a decision like this. But the reality is, there's going to come a point in time where you're going to be left behind, and you don't want to be that guy or that company. Your competitors are going to leave you in the dust, and you can see that list of successful implementations already growing. Over 85 companies. When that becomes when your competitors on that list and you're not, then you're gonna be left behind, and that's not a position you want to find yourself in. So, yeah, again, just why are you not using OneStream AI yet? And that's the concluding remarks from today. I don't know if we have any other questions, but other
There's
than that,
there's two questions
oh, perfect.
yeah, in the chat. Can sensible AI planning incorporate business drivers like promotions or macroeconomic indicators? I do believe that I did cover that, but yeah, those would be those features that we talked about, where it can be time-based like promotions or macroeconomic indicators like consumer price index, gas prices, et cetera. And what I didn't mention too is that it comes with a library of these things, so you don't have to go out and source your own features. You're certainly able to do that, but you would also be able to leverage the library that we have that's regularly updated from a trusted source.
Yeah. And the other question is how easy it is to implement. So, and there's a kind of two-parter there. What about all the data? Maybe you address the how easy it is to implement, and I'll speak about the underlying data, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends. And I'll give you the standard pre-sales answer. It really depends on the project. Like how many targets are we looking at? How many features do you want to incorporate? It will vary based on like the complexity of the overall project and what you're trying to do. However, Sensible AI Forecast itself is designed to be as user-friendly to a finance user itself. Now, is it just like every finance process? No, they're going to have some data knowledge. But once the implementation is complete, um, they'll be able to use it almost like a wizard almost. Hey, this is what we want to target. This is the features we want to incorporate. Let's run. These are the models we want to use, and then go forward from there. So really, I guess it depends on the complexity. I will mention one thing on the underlying data. Yeah, I mean, data is the key to all of this. We can't forecast anything unless we have that historical data. If you're a current OneStream customer, hopefully you have that already through the data you've been bringing it in. From a time-based standpoint, it depends on the forecasting you're looking to do. So if you're looking for like daily levels of forecasting, then we are looking for about 3 years of historical daily data to be able to, put forth an accurate project. I believe weekly is like a 5 year window, and monthly is like a 7 or 8 year window.
Yeah. And then, in terms of do you have all the underlying data? Yes, the answer is yes. You actually have all this data. It's a question of getting it into OneStream, and the good news is OneStream is really good at consuming and transforming and just getting data. Its data quality engine is the best that's out there, and it's got some foundational history behind where it originally came from. But the point is the data is there, and to be able to clean up that data and use that data in OneStream is actually pretty straightforward. It's not that complicated, and I would say that the data is there. It's just a question of bringing in surfacing in OneStream, which again, Black Diamond, we have a whole team dedicated just to data integration, and we can help you with that process as well. And that is something that we're actually doing at this client as well. We're working through all the different data integrations that are needed. In fact, we're bringing in 4 or 5 different data types specifically just for the AI part of the program. So, all right. So that one has been answered then. Um, Any other questions? I don't see any other questions, and we're getting here close to the end of time here. I think we're ready to wrap at this point, right, Steve? Anything else you wanted to add?
No, I think I covered everything I wanted to cover.
Excellent. Well, thank you everyone for your attendance today. We appreciate your time. We appreciate you setting aside time to listen to AI again. I know that there's a lot of noise out there. We know that there's a lot of people who have asked about AI and learned a lot about AI themselves professionally as well, just from our own personal interactions with AI. But I would encourage you to take that next step and start using it in finance and reach out to us so we can help make that a reality. I look forward to working with all of you in the future, and thank you for your time. Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you.